1. The night before. The apartment was too quiet. Ga-young sat at the kitchen table, her long hair damp from the rain, her phone abandoned beside a cooling cup of coffee. Eun-woo stood in the doorway, watching her fingers trace invisible patterns on the table surface. "You didn't answer my calls," he said softly. "I was thinking," she replied without looking up. He took a step closer, uneasy. "About what?" Her lips pressed together, and for a moment, he thought she wouldn't answer. Then she whispered, "About tomorrow." Something in her tone made his stomach twist. "What happens tomorrow?" She finally looked at him, her eyes carrying that same quiet sadness he'd been noticing for weeks. "You'll see," she said, as if it was already too late. That night, they barely spoke. She fell asleep on the couch, her head leaning against his shoulder, and he stayed awake, memorizing the way her breathing rose and fell. The next day, November 12th, was a blur. He had a morning schedule at the studio, but his phone started buzzing around noon. First a news alert. Then dozens more. By the time he saw the headline, "Actress Moon Ga-young arrested on charges of fraud and obstruction," his heart stopped. He rushed to the police station, his mask and cap doing little to hide the raw panic in his eyes. The hallway outside the interrogation room smelled like stale coffee and wet umbrellas. Reporters were already crowding the entrance, flashing cameras at every shadow. Through a small glass window, he saw her. She sat at the table, wrists cuffed, her expression calm, too calm. When she glanced up and noticed him, her lips formed a single word. "Go." He didn't. He couldn't. But the officers blocked him from entering. That night, as the rain fell harder, he stood outside the station until the cold seeped into his bones. The reality hit him in waves. She was gone. 3 days later, Eun-woo sat alone in his apartment, the blinds drawn against the world. The TV played muted coverage of Ga-young's case, every channel painting her as guilty before the trial even began. A knock came at the door. When he opened it, a man stood there mid-40s, sharp suit, eyes that seemed far too amused for the situation. "Cha Eun-woo," the man said. "You love her, don't you?" Eun-woo froze. "Who are you?" "Someone who can give you a choice," the man replied, stepping inside without permission. "One chance. You can go back to the day before her arrest. Relive it. Change it. Maybe save her." "This is insane," Eun-woo muttered, but his chest ached with desperate hope. "What's the catch?" The man smiled faintly. "If you change that day, something else will change too. Something you love might be lost forever. You can't predict what."